Hey everyone, it's Joe from Gadgetry Tech, and today I am reviewing something different. This is the Angry Miao Cyberblade TWS gaming earbuds. Basically, they are wireless, ultra low latency earbuds, which is fairly uncommon. Usually you pick with like IEMs that have a wire, or if you go truly wireless, you get, lower latency to normal Bluetooth latency, which is much slower and typically not preferred for gaming. So they took a different approach. This is not an inexpensive solution, and this solution isn't for everybody, but it's different, so I wanted to highlight it in this video. Now, Angry Miao did send this over for review. It won't affect what I say about it. I'm going to say things that I like and dislike and give you a fair and unbiased review of it. Now, at the time of release, when this was launched, the retail price was $330. At the time of this review, the current sell price is $250. I don't know what's permanent or how the market will adjust. So I won't really focus too much on, is it worth it for the money? That's up to you to decide based off what the market is like by the time you watch this video and what the current pricing is. Now, I obviously opened these already because it's unboxed and I've used it, but I do want to show you some of the packaging because it's pretty cool. One, this box is really, really nice quality. Not only is it printed nice, but it doesn't feel cheap. It's really a really hard cardboard material that's almost like a plastic edge. It feels really nice. Obviously, this stuff would have been presented right here on top, but if you remove it, I want to show you a few other things. Now, this comes with two USB-C cables, and they are really high-quality braided cables. It's like a nylon material. You get a short USB-C to C, and this will work on basically anything. It'll work on a Mac, it'll work on a Windows PC, and then it'll also work on a PlayStation. So if you want to connect it to the console, you can do that with the shorter cable instead of dealing with the longer one. This is significantly longer, and it's a USB-C to A, so you can connect it however you wish. You obviously get some documentation in several languages. That's why the book is so thick. But the killer feature is look at the amount of tips they give you. You get the silicone tips that are pre-installed on the TWS unit itself, the earbuds. Then you get 4 more silicone tip sizes and then 3 different memory foam tips. I've liked the comfort of memory foam. It does change the treble response a little bit. However, I have some kind of skin reaction to memory foam, this particular kind. So I can't really use those, even though I probably would have preferred it for the base. But silicone, if you get the right size. It's really important to have different tip sizes for a premium product because it makes a massive difference on sound quality. If you don't have a proper seal, you're not getting that bass extension and impact that you want from a premium product. So even if you think that you have the right fit, make sure that whatever you're doing feels right, of course, and it's comfortable, but maybe try one size up just in case that still fits and is comfortable. It may give you better bass handling, but always experiment. Now, going to the unit itself, this is where the innovation starts to stand out. So you have an RGB dock. As of the time of this review, there's no way to customize the RGB colors. It is a status symbol, if you will. It'll show you that you're switching modes when you're muting and unmuting, charging, etc. But there's no way to change the way it colorizes based off the mode or what you're doing. It's all defined by preset. Now, I think that's changing. Angry Miao has a very active Discord community, so I will put a link in the description below for that because they seem to answer customer requests and concerns very, very quickly, like same day. So I think this is one of those products where it'll get better over time. There may be fundamental things that can't change, but for the most part, I'll just kind of review it in its current state. So as you can see, you have the RGB colors right now, and I'll show you how to customize it. Here's what's innovative. So this dock, let's say it's connected to your computer, right? You're connected with a cable, or if this is connected to your PlayStation, it sits just like that, and while it has power, it's lit up. You can remove this entire thing. This is a magnetic pin system. You can see how that kind of connects to it. And this is textured, by the way. This isn't dusty. They actually have a really nice, unique finish to it. They have 3 different color variants depending on what your preference is, but this is my favorite, and I'll show you why. So anyway, you can use this independently, and there's a pairing button underneath. So if you want to connect it to your phone, you can do that, no problem, and use this as a Bluetooth 5.2 system. This only has Bluetooth or SBC and AAC, which is unfortunate considering the price point to not offer aptX or LDAC or any of those higher resolution, low latency protocols. It's just not an option. Think of this as like designed to use the dock with a fallback to being Bluetooth, earbuds for on the go with reduced latency performance. So check this though. So you open this one. This is also magnetic. And look at these TWS buds. I don't know. I always call them something different, but they have a unique finish. It's kind of like this purple green chromatic look to it. And originally, I thought based off the looks, this would not be comfortable. You know, they weigh 6 grams. I thought it'd feel kind of weird on the ear. Surprisingly, I could wear these for a longer period of time than I was expecting. So I wouldn't let these, you know, crazy futuristic looks make you feel like you're not getting a comfortable piece, because that may not be the case. The stuff that touches your skin is all curved. Like this part is what matters. And I don't think you can see it on the camera, but there's a little sensor right here. So when it's on your ear, it knows that it's in your ear. When you pull it off, it'll stop the track from playing, for example, or at least mute them. So I want to show you something really cool. Now, when I put this back on, it's magnetic, and you can see this little ring light up. I can use this to change my Windows volume. I can tap to mute because there are microphones built in, and while that's flashing red, that means my microphones are disabled, so you know that you're not communicating if you're playing a multiplayer game, for example. Then if I press and hold, I can actually switch between the game modes. Let me unmute so you can see it. You have basically gaming, movie, and music booster. This is the gaming boost, that pinkish one with a little bit of yellow. That's my favorite EQ profile, and all three of them sound drastically different to each other. Now, there are additional controls on the earbuds themselves. So this little flat piece right here, that is like a touch sensitive piece. So if you press and hold it or tap it, it's a single action. You have a double action to change tracks, for example, if you're listening to music. A triple press will change the RGB setting. And if you press and hold, you can toggle ANC to on or transparency mode. And you can use the Bluetooth app. There is an app to change basic settings like RGB. There are 4 RGB presets. You can't customize your RGB, again, as of now. And then with your ANC, you have transparency mode, which works surprisingly well. A lot of transparency modes on TWS systems don't sound that great. This one actually sounded pretty decent. It did sound like, you know, removing the earbuds. Obviously, it's a little bit of a background hiss, but it's minor. And it's in real time. There's no delay, so you don't get disoriented either. Then you have off, of course, which does nothing, and then ANC on, which is going to reduce background noise. The background noise rejection is pretty average. It's not like class leading as far as blocking out fan noise and things, but it did reduce noise. When my AC kicks on at night with the door open, I can never hear it turning on or off while I was gaming, even if I was gaming at a low volume. So that does work. But definitely try those modes because you might like one over the other. As far as specs go, there's a couple variants here. I already mentioned the Bluetooth codecs. It does use a proprietary connection from the unit, from the earbuds to the base. So that is a very low latency, higher power consuming protocol, but that's how they were able to get out the performance that they were getting, which was like 36 milliseconds. That is better than some actual gaming headsets using 2.4 gigahertz wireless connections. So that's a pretty admirable feat. This is now latency is now no longer an issue. So it's just a matter if you want form factor or certain features. As far as the dimensions go, it's a relatively small nozzle and it's short. It's oval shaped, so some people will like or dislike that. But you have 5.4 millimeters of width on the narrow side, and on the taller side, about 6.6 millimeters. And the tips they give you are not a standard round tip. They actually made them oval shaped to accommodate their system, which is nice. They could have cheaped out and gone with some universal ones, but I'm happy to see that they didn't, because this price is a bit high, obviously, for a product like this. Then on the top of the IM, there's a little bit of a vent here. This is how they're doing some of the sound tuning. So some people might tape this to modify the sound. I don't know how that would work. The ANC microphone's up top, so I know it would screw that up. I would leave it open because, at least with the presets, you get a very drastic sound difference anyway. And hopefully one day you can do some custom EQ. So now I'm talking to you on the microphones built into the Cyberblade. This is what your voice would sound like both on PC and on PlayStation. I'm not going to get into the microphone thought process of what I like or dislike, because I typically review things with a boom. It's not often I cover IEMs to be used for gaming with a mic. So take this and decide if you like this sound profile or not. I do want to show you on the screen here, though, this is the measured frequency response of this. And to make it simple, let's go to the presets without active noise cancellation. So right now you are looking at the game preset with no active noise cancellation, and that's actually not a bad curve. The most noticeable thing is you're losing some of the sub bass. Some people want that really deep rumble. These have a nice clean punch to them, but they don't have a very deep bass. And then the treble is relatively rolled off as well, so don't expect really sharp, abrasive highs. It can be used for a long period of time with a comfortable sound profile. The music profile without ANC, I mean, this is relatively flat. You have a bass boost at 50 hertz, so the bass boost shifts a little bit deeper, and your highs are not as bright. So as a result, when you turn it up to compensate for this because it's flat, you will have a noticeably darker sounding profile. It won't sound as sharp or detailed as the gain preset, but it is going to affect the tonality quite a bit. So some people will like or dislike one profile over the other. The one with the biggest change is the movie preset, and let me turn this music one off. The movie preset is all over the place. It has a huge boost at 45, 47 hertz, and then a dip and the 80 hertz range, relatively flat mids, a huge scoop at 1500 hertz, and then it lifts back up. The movie one is naturally my least favorite. I don't mind if there's certain dips and rises in frequency response, and I'm simplifying this because it's not just an EQ frequency response change. They actually have some processing built in to affect virtual spatial audio, the HRTF or head related transfer function. Basically, it simulates 7.1 surround. So it's not just changing the frequency response, it's doing a lot of other things as well, which drastically change the sound. I don't want to use this frequency response chart to tell you exactly which one sounds better or worse, but simply show you how they measure, and then you can decide by listening to it which one you like. I do want to show you though, if you're in the movie mode with noise cancellation off, then you turn noise cancellation on, there is a big shift in frequency response. You can see there's even a much larger dip in the mid-range region from 1K to 2K. This sounds noticeably darker by default, which makes the high treble noticeably sharper. So I did not like ANC on in movie mode. My favorite was just simply leaving the gaming preset on, as you can see here, and turning off ANC, because you get the best clarity and detail presentation, but it's not overly muddy or boomy either. It works for pretty much everything. Your mileage may vary, try what you like, but I just wanted to show you how it measured. So as I said, those frequency response measurements are just to show you what the presets measure like. It doesn't mean that you're going to like or dislike one more or less than the other necessarily due to all the other changes they're doing to the sound. So I want to focus on the actual real world performance. The biggest surprise was the low latency. It really does compete with premium wireless gaming headsets from a latency perspective. I didn't have any noticeable lag or latency issues that made the game feel weird or uncomfortable or felt like I had to readjust for what I was hearing, which helps a lot if you are ever playing a first-person shooter and those precious milliseconds can add up to reacting in time to keeping yourself alive. And the sound quality was pretty decent. Now, you're not paying $330 or $250 purely for sound. Let's be real and remember that this is a unique, innovative, futuristic looking product. It's not for everybody, and I'm not making this review to say this is going to change everything and everyone needs to get it. Some people want this aesthetic. Some people want the convenience and comfort of a wireless earbud for gaming because your ears get too hot for headphones, or maybe you don't have the option to use speakers and you just want something different, smaller, more portable, etc. So I'm trying to keep that in mind. Now, from a latency perspective, I already said the latency was great. From a sound quality perspective, it is still fun for even FPS games. Now, on the immersive games, if you need really deep, thunderous explosions, as of right now, it's rolled off a bit. So don't expect that super deep bass. Thankfully, if you're using this on the computer, there are several programs online where you can do your custom EQ anyway in addition to the preset. So maybe start with the game preset and use something like Dolby Atmos or Equalizer APO with the Peace extension, or SteelSeries Sonar program with your own custom EQ. You can do some changes on the PC side, but even on PlayStation without it, in game mode, I still had a really good time playing most of my games. I didn't quite get the thunderous immersion that I get from some other headsets that have a lot of bass, but I was able to play Call of Duty fairly competitively. Purely from an audiophile perspective, it's not as resolving or clear as a higher end product like the Odyssey Maxwell, which is in a similar price range, but it's a totally different product. It's a heavier headphone, much heavier. Boom mic, it's just different. They're doing something pretty innovative with earbuds. The one issue I did have at one point, my longest session I had with these in a single run, I was trying to stretch the full 4 hours, so I hit 4 hours on one charge in a single night using the PlayStation. Battery life is 4 hours on the wireless mode, 6 hours on Bluetooth mode to a phone. I don't know if I said that earlier. But on PlayStation, so about 2 hours in, I had a weird like desync issue, and the two earbuds flipped phase, meaning like it's almost like you took the red and black cable, the positive and negative wire of the unit, and flipped it on only one driver. So my imaging was kind of messed up. Now these use single 10mm drivers on that note, but I couldn't keep playing with that. That made it very difficult to track footsteps. All I had to do was fix it, was take them out of my ear, put it in this little case for a sec, pop it back out, and I was good to go. It resynced just fine, and it's never done that since then. I've done several long sessions after that, and it's never happened again. So it could have just been a glitch, but I'm just not going to leave out things that actually happened to me because it's important to call these out in case someone else ever has a weird issue. If you feel like the imaging is off, maybe the phase got flipped. Plug it back in, and because I've seen a lot of updates come out from them, maybe that'll improve over time as well. So from a gaming perspective, just to summarize, I feel like I could play most games. It didn't have the immersion of some headsets with a lot of bass or the laser precision as like a higher end headphone or wired product. But again, considering the technology and that it's a wireless earbud, it was still good enough to play the games and enjoy them. On the music side, the differences become more apparent. You know, when you have something that has some kind of compression and it's not as resolving or clear sounding, you can't expect audiophile level performance for $300 with this kind of technology. You'd have to get a purely analog headphone, for example, which doesn't have any of the features that this has. So, while I could still listen to music and with some EQ enjoy it more, I wouldn't be buying these purely for listening to music every day, only because I've heard higher quality, higher resolving products in the similar price range. They just didn't have the feature set that this did. So again, just to summarize, you really have to decide what you're looking for. I'm trying to keep this review unbiased. I'm not trying to push this product on everybody. I think it's innovative and commendable that they made something so different, and that is huge because this market can get stale pretty quick. So I love seeing different stuff like this. I really do love this volume knob. Frankly, it'd be cool just to have a giant volume knob on on Windows anyway, or your Mac. I didn't mention this. The volume knob does not work on PlayStation. I had to use the controller to adjust the sound. This didn't do anything. However, the mute button still worked on PlayStation just fine. I just couldn't change the sound from here. The presets work on PlayStation, so you can press and hold. So overall, it was like an 80% done process. I think when the software improves and you get the ability to do more custom EQ presets, hopefully one day, or if you get the ability to change RGB to make it unique, because that's a big selling point is the RGB and the looks, it should only get better over time. Whether you want to take that gamble or you're happy enough with as it stands now is your call. I still think it's great, because there's not a lot of things in this category that do stuff like this. It's really the latency with wireless earbud. I have the EPOS wireless gaming earbuds as well, which are claiming to be low latency. These sound better than the EPOS ones. They're comparably comfortable, but the wireless connection was much better on the Cyberblades as well. So I would, between those two, and I think it's called the GTW 270s. Those are less expensive, but I would pay more for this over the EPOS from my gaming experience. I had a lot more issues with those. So there is some merit to this. Hope you found this helpful. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'd love to see you at the next video. I think I mentioned this earlier, but Angry Miao does have a very active Discord community. They talk to their customers a lot. I see tons of responses there because I kind of lurk and see what they're saying. So I would take a look at that. I'll have a link in the description below for the Discord as well. With that being said, thanks again. I'll see you next time. Bye.